I want you to take a second and just, think back to a place from your past.
Oh, yeah. We all have one.
Right, like maybe it's a childhood home or a college apartment or just a specific neighborhood you used to walk through.
Definitely.
And I want you to picture a place that evokes deeply conflicting emotions. You know the kind of place I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
It's that kind of environment that feels like a warm, nostalgic blanket during the bright light of day, but then the absolute second the sun goes down, it just gives you the creeping chills.
Right, yeah.
It's a place where the daytime comfort is entirely at odds with the nighttime dread.
It is a very specific, unsettling kind of emotional whiplash.
Yeah.
Because you are standing in the exact same geographic coordinates. I mean, the physical structures haven't moved an inch, but your psychological reality completely fractures just because the lighting shifted.
Exactly. And that fractured reality, that tension between daytime nostalgia and nighttime terror, well, that is what we are digging into today.
It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, we're looking at a deeply atmospheric piece of short fiction and its accompanying literary analysis. And it just perfectly dissects that exact feeling.
It really does.
So instead of just reading a spooky story, we're going to use this text to explore how our physical environments, like the towns we live in or the streets we walk, can act as both our greatest muses and our absolute darkest prison.
It takes that classic, highly romanticized idea of going home again, and it strips it down to its studs.
Right.
It reveals this eerie, almost supernatural weight hidden underneath the floorboards.
So to give you a bit of the setup before we really get into the psychology of it, we're following a protagonist, a family man, who has recently suffered what the text calls a vague corporate misfortune.
Which is such a polite way to put it.
Right, a corporate misfortune. So because of this very public failure, he moves his wife and kids back to his old hometown.
And an old colleague essentially bails him out, right?
Yeah. The colleague sticks his neck out to secure him a new job. So it is engineered to be the ultimate fresh start. A return to familiar, safe territory to kind of lick his wounds and rebuild.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Because on the surface, the story starts with so much blinding optimism that it almost feels forced.
Oh, totally.
I mean, it reads like the opening montage of a cheerful holiday movie.
And the author deliberately sets that high baseline of optimism, so the eventual fall feels that much more severe.
That makes sense.
Yeah. The text describes this move as having a runway paved for a smooth takeoff and landing.
Right.
It's this desperately needed midlife plot twist that is supposed to magically keep life fresh and exciting. But from a psychological standpoint, this optimism is completely brittle.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because as I was reading about this midlife plot twist, I kept thinking of, like, a beautifully staged open house.
Oh, that's a great comparison.
You walk in, and there is the smell of fresh-baked cookies, the furniture is perfectly arranged, and the sunlight is just pouring through the bay windows.
It looks like the perfect life.
Exactly. But what you don't realize is that the expensive rug is covering a massive stain, and the fresh coat of paint is hiding black mold.
Yeah, the foundation is actively crumbling.
Right. It's a daylight facade designed to hide structural rot. And the text says he feels this intoxicating nostalgic buzz during the day, treating the town like a long-lost friend.
Right, yeah.
But I have to ask, why do we do this? Like, why do we so often assume that packing up cardboard boxes and changing our zip code will somehow magically cure our internal career or life struggles?
What's fascinating here is the sheer power of cognitive dissonance and really how the brain protects the ego.
Okay, how so?
Well, in psychology, there is a concept often referred to as a geographic cure.
A geographic cure.
Yeah, it's this deeply flawed belief that your internal problems are caused by your external location.
No.
Right, because admitting that you failed, that your corporate misfortune is a result of your own actions, is a massive threat to the ego.
Yeah, it would feel awful.
It feels like a survival threat, actually. So the brain just reroutes the blame.
I see.
It tells you, hey, you didn't fail. The city you lived in was just the wrong fit. If you move back to your hometown, you'll be successful again.
So he is actively using the sunlight and the nostalgia to blind himself to his own problem.
Exactly.
The text even explicitly notes that he opted to, quote, quiet the loud and chaotic feelings that the town actually stirs up in him.
Yeah, he has to.
He is just white-knuckling this narrative of a fresh start.
To acknowledge the deeper dissonance he feels would mean admitting that his failures and his melancholy belong to him, not to the city he left behind.
Right.
The geographic cure is really just a temporary anesthetic, but as you said, it's an open house hiding a crumbling foundation. You can only hold your breath and pretend everything is fine for so long. Eventually, the earth turns, the sun sets, and that daylight facade inevitably shatters.
Which brings us to the visceral sensory shift in the story.
Yes, the shift.
Because when the sun goes down, this text pivots from a hopeful family drama into straight-up psychological thriller territory.
It really does.
The insomnia arrives. The town reveals what the text calls its uglier sides. But here's where it gets really interesting. Because I got hung up on a specific detail.
Oh, what was that?
Well, the author builds dread not through monsters or jump scares, but through mundane atmospheric cues.
Right, the sensory imagery.
Yeah. He describes the empty streets, the sound of an evening breeze, an echoing car, the soft glow of unkept street lamps, and a barking dog miles away.
Yeah.
And I don't entirely get this.
Yeah.
Because usually, in horror or suspense, it's the dead, vacuum-like silence right before the jump scare that terrifies us. So why is the fact that the town is, quote, never totally silent, never totally empty, the specific thing that breaks his sanity? Like, why does ambient background noise drive him to the edge?
That is a profound distinction the author makes, and it taps directly into our evolutionary psychology.
Really? Evolutionary psychology?
Yeah, because complete silence, while deeply unsettling, is definitive.
Okay.
If you are in a forest and it is dead silent, your brain eventually accepts that you are entirely alone. You can let your guard down.
I guess that makes sense.
But a town that is never totally silent and never totally empty implies a presence.
Oh, wow.
Think about our ancient ancestors on the savannah. If you hear a twig snap or the rustle of grass in the distance, your brain immediately dumps cortisol into your system.
Oh, I see.
Your threat detection software goes into overdrive scanning for a predator.
So it's like an evolutionary false alarm.
Exactly.
His brain is screaming threat detected, but his eyes can't actually find anything to fight.
Yes. The ambient noise, the distant echoing car, the breeze, the flickering lamp, it provides just enough sensory input to trigger that primal scanning instinct.
Right.
But it's not enough clarity to identify a specific threat. So the cortisol just sits in his system with nowhere to go.
That sounds exhausting.
It is a biological paranoia simulator. His nervous system is constantly fluctuating between complete exhaustion and intense hypervigilance.
Wow.
The background noise ensures his mind can never fully rest. The town constantly reminds him that it's there, just breathing in the dark, out of sight.
And when you are flooded with cortisol, but you can't find a physical predator in the dark, well, the human brain really can't handle that vacuum, can it?
Not at all.
This seems like it's almost easier to invent a monster to fight than to sit with that ambiguous terror.
Right.
Which might explain how the author chooses to personify that breathing presence in the dark.
Right.
The dread isn't just left as a vague atmospheric feeling.
No, it's very specific.
Yeah, the author gives the town a distinct, aggressive identity. It becomes an active character.
It does. The text takes a fascinating turn here by describing the town in the nighttime as an invisible stalker that lingered around the corner.
An invisible stalker.
Yeah, and crucially, the author makes a point to say the town was always a her.
Always a her.
It's described as the sort of friend you can't live with and you can't live without.
When I read that, the immediate parallel that jumped to mind was a toxic, codependent romance.
Oh, for sure.
It's the kind of relationship where the highs are so incredibly high. That intoxicating nostalgic buzz of the daytime, the warm memories.
Right.
But the lows are deeply draining and emotionally abusive, and he is trapped in this cycle.
He really is.
He keeps coming back to her, expecting it to be different this time because he brought his wife and kids, because he secured this shiny new corporate job.
And it isn't different.
Right, the core dynamic hasn't changed at all. I have to push back on the protagonist for a second, though.
Okay, let's hear it.
By making the town a her and labeling it a stalker, isn't he just projecting his own internal failures onto the geography all over again?
How do you mean?
Well, is it simply easier for his ego to say, oh, this town is a toxic, malicious woman stalking me in the dark, than it is to look in the mirror and say, I am deeply depressed, I haven't processed my massive career failure, and my mind is unraveling?
I see.
Like, is he using this aggressive personification of the town as a scapegoat so he doesn't have to take responsibility for his own mental state?
This raises an important question, and I think you've hit on the absolute core of the psychological tension in the text.
Really?
Yeah, the literary analysis in our sources points out that this specific personification transforms the narrative.
Okay.
It elevates it from a standard haunted house trope into a profound exploration of psychological paranoia.
That makes a lot of sense.
Let's look at the timeline. When he was young, long before the wife and the corporate job, he left the town because of this exact same lonesome feeling.
Oh, right.
He returns decades later, hoping for a fresh start, and the feeling is instantly back. The common denominator in this equation isn't the zip code.
Right.
The common denominator is him.
Right, the MKEP street lamps aren't actually out to get him.
Exactly. By assigning gender and malicious intent to the physical geography, he is fully externalizing his internal haunting.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about the ego protecting itself via the geographic cure. This is really the final stage of that defense mechanism.
Wow.
It is psychologically much easier to be the victim of an invisible stalker than it is to be the architect of your own misery.
That is so true.
The text notes he feels a sadness and a dissonance that is more than he wanted to face, so he simply refuses to face it.
He just avoids it entirely.
Right. He projects it outward onto the nighttime streets. He turns his internal nebulous melancholy into an external, tangible enemy.
But that enemy serves a very specific, almost paradoxical purpose in the story.
Yeah.
And this is the part of the deep dive that really hooked me.
It's the twist, right?
Yeah, because if we follow the logic, if this town is a toxic partner, if it is an invisible stalker that brings him agonizing insomnia and pumps his system full of cortisol every night, well, the most logical response is to pack up the car the very next morning and flee.
Get out of there.
Right. But he doesn't. He stays. We find out that this agonizing dread is actually highly productive for him. The town acts as a dark muse.
It's a staggering revelation, really.
Yeah.
The text explicitly reveals that it is this exact nighttime eeriness, the town's uncanny ways in those dark hours, that inspires his creative output.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't just write a little bit. He writes stories by the dozens.
Dozens of them.
Yeah, he writes complete novels, creates sprawling fictional landscapes, and develops complex characters, all entirely fueled by this terrible, haunting energy.
So what does this all mean? When I try to conceptualize how someone can create beauty out of sheer terror, it reminds me of how an oyster creates a pearl.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, the town, the ambient noise, the memories, they act as this abrasive, painful irritant to his psyche.
Right.
And the only way his brain can stop the psychological pain is by constantly layering a fictional narrative over it, smoothing it out until it becomes a novel.
Wow.
He is using his fiction to basically coat the trauma.
That is a much more accurate and systemic way to look at the tortured artist trope.
Yeah.
We often call it a Faustian bargain, this idea of trading your sanity for a masterpiece.
Right.
But biologically and psychologically, it functions as a pressure valve. The human brain despises open loops, ambiguity, and chaos.
Definitely does.
When he is lying awake, listening to a dog bark miles away and feeling an impending sense of doom for no logical reason, well, that is psychological chaos.
Absolute chaos.
By getting out of bed and writing a story, he's taking that chaotic, ambient terror and organizing it into a narrative with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
I see.
He is creating a closed loop to regain a sense of control over his own mind.
And the text even supports that lack of control. It states that in the act of writing, he feels more like a passenger rather than a driver.
A passenger, yes.
He is helplessly channeling the town's melancholy onto the page. He is feeding on the positive energy of the open house during the day. But he is desperately building pearls around his trauma to survive those lonesome feelings that own the night.
It's a brutal cycle.
It forces a really uncomfortable question. And I want to ask you, listening to this right now, to evaluate this for yourself.
That's a tough one.
Would you trade your peace of mind, your ability to sleep soundly without a racing heart, if it meant unlocking your absolute greatest creative potential?
Wow.
Like if the only way to write your masterpiece was to be stalked by your own hometown every night, would you take that deal?
It's a terrifying hypothetical.
It really is.
Because it highlights how deeply intertwined suffering and expression can become in the human experience.
Yeah.
He is using his art as a coping mechanism, sublimating the terror into his novels to somehow purge it from his nervous system.
Right.
But the tragedy of the story and the ultimate failure of his oyster and pearl strategy is that the art doesn't actually save him.
It really doesn't.
No.
Eventually, the scale tips and the pressure valve breaks. You just can't keep it up anymore. And the climax of the story isn't some grand cinematic battle with a physical monster in the streets.
No, not at all.
The climax is a quiet, desperate retreat. Just as quickly as they arrived, with that perfectly paved runway, The cardboard moving boxes return.
Yeah, back to the boxes.
He packs up his family to chase yet another new corporate opportunity in a different city, hoping that the next geographic location will finally be the one to cure the melancholy.
Which brings us full circle to the ultimate illusion of escape.
Right.
He is dutifully packing moving boxes, but you cannot pack up your own psyche.
You really can.
You can put your novels, your clothes, and your coffee mugs in a cardboard box, but you can't box up your internal dissonance and leave it on the curb.
Yeah.
The story concludes with this incredibly chilling realization. The old town never really leaves you. It, quote, keeps you hostage long after you're gone.
It is such a heavy, haunting realization to end on.
It really is.
So to pull all these analytical threads together for you, we followed a pretty incredible psychological journey through the source material today in this deep dive.
We definitely covered a lot of ground.
We started with the false, blinding hope of a fresh start, dissecting how our ego uses the geographic cure to hide our own failures.
Right.
We walked through the evolutionary mechanics of sensory dread, exploring how ambient noise and flickering street lamps trigger our primal threat detection and create this unbearable paranoia.
Yeah.
We explored the psychology of externalizing our internal demons, personifying a hometown as an invisible feminine stalker so we don't have to face ourselves.
Absolutely.
And finally, we looked at the heavy price of dark inspiration, using art as a desperate pressure valve, and the tragic illusion that moving away will somehow cure a haunted mind.
It serves as just a profound exploration of how memory, ego, and physical space interact to shape our reality.
It really does. And I want to connect this back to you, the listener, and that specific place you pictured at the very beginning of our deep dive today.
Yeah, think back to that place.
That childhood home or neighborhood that brought you comfort by day and the creeps by night. This text asks us to honestly evaluate our own environments and the narratives we tell ourselves about them.
It takes a lot of self-awareness.
We have to look around and recognize if a place we love, a place that gives us a nostalgic buzz, is secretly feeding our melancholy.
Right.
Is there an environment or even a relationship in your life right now that is acting as a dark muse, secretly holding your potential hostage under the guise of comfort?
It is a vital question for self-reflection.
It really is.
And as we wrap up the psychological breakdown, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, something that builds on the mechanics of the text, but pushes into the unseen aftermath of his departure.
Okay, let's hear it.
We know the protagonist finally packed his boxes and fled. We know he felt like a helpless passenger when he was writing, merely channeling the dark, ambient terror of the town into dozens of novels.
Yeah.
But what happens to all those dark worlds, those sprawling fictional landscapes, and those twisted characters he created once he finally drives past the city limits?
Oh, wow.
Do they just wither and die because he left the geographic source of his inspiration?
I hadn't thought about that.
Or did those dark creations pack themselves into those moving boxes right alongside his family?
That is terrifying.
If he is truly just a passenger to his own trauma, then he isn't driving the moving truck either. He is just transporting the haunting to a new zip code.
Wow.
Which begs the question, is it only a matter of time before his next sunny hometown transforms into the exact same invisible stalker?